In the past, Chinese elementary school students were well trained to guard against the uprising of desires. Schools emphasized training in the students' concentration and wisdom. Students started school at the age of 7. They stayed with their teachers and only went home during holidays. They were taught the correct ways to deal with everyday life and the proper manner to attend to the teachers and elder schoolmates. This was called the education of moral principles based on human relationships. When the children went home, they would then treat their parents and siblings with filial piety and respect. From the ages of 7 to 12, students were required to memorize and recite fluently the ancient texts. The teacher would first select materials which contained the profound wisdom of sages and saints, and then encouraged the students to read and recite the material up to 100 or 200 times a day. Children would have scattered thoughts if they were not assigned any tasks to do. The purpose of reciting was to focus their mind so that they would eventually obtain a pure mind, concentration, and wisdom, even though they may not have understood the meanings. However, the current educational system, in existence since the Revolution of 1911, eliminated this 2,000-year-old tradition and adopted the Western educational system. This change, upon close examination, leads one to the root of modern China's social problems. At the age of 13, children were sent to Thai school, as there were no junior or high schools in ancient China. Thai school emphasized the analysis and discussion of the materials students had already memorized in elementary school. The teachers were experts in their fields and would concentrate on that field throughout their entire career. Each of them taught a small class with 10 to 20 students, and the lectures were not necessarily given in the classroom with textbooks. During that period, all the textbooks were printed in the universal format, 20 words per column and 10 columns per page, with no space in between. The format was standard for the entire country, regardless of the publisher. Both teacher and students memorized the textbook so well that they even knew exactly where the study materials were located. Since everything had been memorized earlier, there was no need for books after elementary school. Teachers often took their students on field trips to broaden their knowledge and experience. As they traveled, knowledge was imparted to them along the way. Thus, the trips were without textbooks or restraints, but accompanied with wine and food and filled with joy. The students would attend to the needs of the teacher. So as they concluded their travels to the many beautiful places, the course would come to an end as well. For many, attending Thai school was the most joyful time of their lives. In Taiwan, those who are in their 80s or 90s may have experienced this kind of education. My late teacher, Mr. Lee, then in his 90s, could still apply materials he had memorized in elementary school when writing articles. No reference materials were required. This was the method he used to acquire the original wisdom which comes from the pure mind. With the pure mind, true wisdom arises. Having true wisdom is to know a person's past and future, and also to understand the laws of cause and effect. One should not judge things by their appearance, but know and understand how events came about. The wisdom of knowing nothing emphasized in Buddhism is the original wisdom. Only when one has a pure mind which contains nothing will he also know everything when he is in contact with the external world. Therefore, the practicing and studying of Buddhism begins with eliminating all thoughts in order to obtain a pure mind. All this made me think of our children, who are so pure, so innocent, and uncontaminated in their thinking, which is why it is best for our children to start learning Buddhism early in childhood. With little effort, children can truly and easily benefit from it. The experiences of a person with a pure mind are so different and profound that no ordinary person can truly appreciate them. A real practitioner will keep himself from being greedy, angry, ignorant, and arrogant towards others and his environment. If one has any of the elements just mentioned, then he is neither sincere nor proper. Sincerity, proper thoughts and viewpoints are the basis for training the mind. A person with a pure mind and body will not become ill. We suffer from illnesses because our minds are filled with wandering thoughts and worries, which are derived from greed, anger, ignorance, and arrogance. As mentioned earlier, sincerity, proper thoughts and viewpoints are the basis for purifying one's mind. A purified mind leads to a purified body, and naturally a person will become immune from illness. Thus, a realized practitioner would never get ill. Moreover, if a person is determined to follow the path of Buddha, he or she will not die in the conventional manner. A conventional death means a person does not know exactly when they will leave this world, nor where they will go afterwards. On the other hand, true practitioners with confidence in themselves and in Amitabha Buddha, who cultivate in accordance with Buddhist teachings, will be capable of controlling both the time of leaving this world and of being reborn in the Western Pure Land. This is neither unusual nor a fairy tale, but the simple truth, and can be achieved by cultivating the pure mind and vowing to reach the Western Pure Land. Therefore, one must understand how important it is to be free of worries and attachments. Every Buddhist should maintain a pure mind and body at all times, treating everyone and everything with equality and composure. Only then would the family be in harmony, the society in unity, and the world at peace. No longer would we have feuds, conflicts, or wars. The peace and happiness which we wish for today would no longer be a dream. World peace can be achieved if we combine Confucianism and Buddhism into our educational system. Loyalty, filial piety, compassion, love, trustworthiness, responsibility, peace, and equality are the 8 basic Confucian moral principles and are represented by 4 bodhisattvas in Buddhism. Dizang Wang Pusa represents filial piety, and therefore the Dizan Sutra is also known as the Filial Piety Sutra. This is because it teaches filial respect for both parents and teachers, who are both equally important in Buddhism and Confucianism. To treat one's parents with filial piety and to respect teachers are the innate virtues of human nature. The goal of Buddhist teaching is for us to realize the true nature of the mind, which can only be achieved by discovering its virtuous nature, without which one will never become enlightened. Guanyin Pusa symbolizes compassion and represents kindness and love. Wanshushuli Pusa symbolizes wisdom and represents faith and loyalty. Pushien Pusa symbolizes great vows and putting Buddha's teaching into practice, including filial piety, compassion, and wisdom. He represents peace and equality. With compassion and wisdom, one can generate merits. To enjoy merits is to build upon the foundation of equality and purity. This is the greatest enjoyment for humankind. To cultivate merits in childhood, generate merits in middle age, and enjoy merits in old age are described in Chinese as truth, virtue, and beauty. One who enjoys merit in old age is called the complete person, which is similar to Buddha. We must understand that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are not gods, but the most perfect and happiest beings for us to learn from. These principles were evoked long ago by wise ancestors in China, long before Buddhism was introduced there. Shakyamuni Buddha, Confucius, and Mencius never met, but they all had identical concepts and teaching methods. This was truly a coincidence, and as is said in Chinese, heroes would have similar views, or said in the West, great minds think alike. Chapter 6. Buddha's teaching is for everyone. Recently, a student came to me and asked how to practice Buddhism. The answer is the 4 universal vows of Buddhas. Sentient beings are innumerable. I vow to help them all. Afflictions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Ways to practice are boundless. I vow to master them all. Enlightenment is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. To help others is to do our best in assisting them to break through delusion and become awakened. Then they will be able to attain true happiness and leave suffering behind. In order to help all beings escape from suffering, one should be a good cultivator, excelling in moral and academic achievements. A cultivator can learn by upholding the precepts so as to guard against harmful consequences created by speech, body, and mind. In other words, deeds, and thoughts. Before comprehensive learning, however, it is necessary to cultivate good virtue by ending our afflictions, including greed, anger, ignorance, and arrogance, as they are the sources of all desires and delusions. True wisdom arises from cultivation of high moral character, from a pure, non-discriminatory, and compassionate mind, and not from knowledge gained from books. Without a pure mind, the knowledge gained leads to deviated views. Therefore, the first priority in practicing Buddhism is to purify our mind and cut off all attachments to erroneous ways. With the pure mind, we can then reflect everything clearly and know all. Thus, we attain true wisdom and enlightenment. Buddhism is for everyone, regardless of gender, age, occupation, nationality, or religion. Everyone should learn and practice Buddhism, for it is the teaching of ultimate, perfect wisdom. There is a need for Buddha's teaching in all parts of the world.